Pussy. We're here. We're not on
there's something so good about an ice cold beverage after work. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I think we speak the same lingo.
It's one of them things to make the day go away, you know? One of them things to make the pain, existential pain of our existence. Can't say it with a straight face tonight. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all of you taint-saturated degenerates. This is the Black Tower Podcast, here just slinging our taint all over the internet.
What's this, we shit? I ain't slinging shit nowhere. I'm innocent.
Yeah, sure you are, buddy.
I mean,
just try on these gloves.
Things.
Did you take your medication today?
Most of it. Most of it.
There you go. The reminders from BTP. Have you drink some water? Did you take your medication? Did you love yourself today?
Oh, you bet I did.
Because you're
as soon as I got home
beautiful,
from work.
fucking brilliant, fucking amazing. And if anybody says otherwise, I will punch them in their beautiful fucking face. All right? That's how we do things now.
Really
gone
into the YouTube algorithm, dropping the F-bomb.
I am.
And then the first
I'm doing it. You know what, YouTube?
Couple minutes.
You're fucking beautiful too. That's right. I said it. What you gonna do about it?
You'll never hear this, but
you'll never hear this. No, we are movers and shakers, Andrew.
Yeah, they're gonna move and shake us right off.
They're gonna move and shake us all over the place.
Oh man.
It is the Black Tower Podcast. It is another dose of taint. Ooh, another dose of tainty goodness. It is another Alea. Hey. We got Salea up in the chat. And it's time to do it again. Do it again. It's time to tell the world what we think about the greatest damn book series of all time, which is The Wheel of Time. Clearly. It's no contest. No contender. You know?
Bro, I'm pretty sure my brain power is at best half capacity right now. It's part of my brain feels like I'm following along perfectly. The other half is just huh?
You got the Emperor Kuzco going on. What the? How long has that been there?
Anyway, I'm one of your hosts. My name's Andrew. I'm the Bajan Mahal. I take charge of the battles over here on most days when the brain power's all there. I'm joined by my fantastically present co-host.
I am the Sorovan Mahal. Sorry. Different show. And we're here bringing it to you.
Man, happy to be home from work.
Oh, dude. You know what? I love my job. I do. I really do. And I'm not just saying that in case, my CEO decides to watch this episode because, I know he's totally a Wheel of Time fan and listens to us. I am also saying it because I legitimately do love my job. But there are some days, man, where you just come home and you're just like, you know what? I had enough. When? I said when. That's time for me to be when. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to be here with you tonight, Andrew. With all the listeners, I'm happy to be here with you as well. I'm real excited about tonight's episode. What are we? Hold on. I got to say another thing really quick, and I don't know which thing I got to say.
I checked which thing to play, but I didn't check that.
We gotta. You know what? Actually, this is very appropriate because Andrew, with your brain power being at 50%, you know what could change that? A nice, cold, shaken cup of the world's finest sugar-free, jitterless energy, Dubby. And if they also see the reason your brain is not working is because you haven't had your Dubby today. You didn't Dubby. You didn't do your Dubby.
You're not wrong. I didn't.
You got to do your Dubby. if you do your Dubby, Debbie will dub D's nuts. I don't know. I'll come up with a D tongue twister. There it is. Dubby.gg. If you use discount code BTP, you get a discount and you get it for cheaper. And it's like cool. It's like $40 for a canister, and a single canister is like 100 freaking. Is it what? How many servings is it? I want to say it's like
a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I've still got like 3 or 4 canisters, but I don't drink it every day. Normally would have it on Thursdays, but I was rushing today, man. I got home, hopped on the bike, went for a little ride. Yeah, man. I took a brief tour down to Crimea. Went through the Donbass province. Dodged a couple drones.
Strasvucia.
Yeah. Strasvucia, bitches. I'm back. But
that's like the only Russian I know.
The only Russian I know is from The Machine. From a guy who only knows like 5 things in Russian.
Did you ever watch the movie?
I did. It was pretty good. I liked it.
Dude, that was a great movie. If you guys haven't seen, we're going sidebar real quick. If you have, no, don't do that. That's not what I want you to do. What's happening right now? I was trying to get a picture of this.
Bert Kreischer's movie, The Machine.
You should
go watch it. It's pretty good.
Go.
You don't know who Bert Kreischer is? Educate yourself. Get some culture.
Educate. Stop being so ignorant. But we have spoilers for tonight.
And to make sure you're protected, we have our friend from Malkier here to warn you about said spoilers.
Welcome to the Black Tower. This is your spoiler condom. If you have not read the complete works of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, books 1 to 14, and also New Spring, big bad book of white art, and the companion, you are at risk of being spoiled. Spoilers come with side effects. These side effects may include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal or penile eruptions and ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened souls, more vomiting, arthritis, hemorrhoids or diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism or werewolfism, gender inequality for the whole planet, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar highs, even more vomiting, or maybe just a mild rash. If you cannot deal with these side effects, please leave now for fear of spoilers. You have been warned.
Bro, we got to get on our shit and get like some kind of graphics or visual thing that we can throw up, especially for the longer, the longer spoiler warnings. Oh man! If you have ideas or talents in that area, let us know. We might be interested. We've been without like our official like intro video for like months now.
I feel
getting
horrible.
Closer and closer to a year. Yeah. And I've always wanted something up on the screen besides us just staring at the camera, being like, for the spoiler warnings.
You know what? I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to get back on there. I'm going to get back on my graphic shit.
You're going to commit
start
yourself?
Making some shit. Because that's what needs to happen.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Figure it out eventually.
Speaking
of figuring things out, what are we talking about this episode, Josh? Because this one's your brainchild, born of your Eye of the World reread that you're hosting.
That's right. So, as you know, the Black Tower is hosting a Wheel of Time reread. So if you are just listening to this for the first time, be sure to follow along so that you can reread along with us. By the time this episode comes out, it will be time to start the Great Hunt. So you should already be done with the Eye of the World and moved on to the Great Hunt. But there's a scene in the Eye of the World. Chapter 27, Shelter from the Storm. We find ourselves, Elias and Perrin and Egwene are with the Tinker Caravan, right? Everybody's favorite arc. And Perrin is getting irritated with life in the Tinker Caravan, right? And he keeps thinking about the longer they stay, the more danger they put the Tinkers in. And he's got problems with the Way of the Leaf because they're like, oh yeah, well, if someone wants to hit me, I would just ask him why he wants to hit me. Why would he want to do that? And then I would hope that he was not too hurt. And then it's like, yeah, but Trollocs are coming and they're going to eat all of you. So you're stupid. And Perrin just really has a hard time with that. And he starts feeling guilty about staying with them because if the Trollocs do find them while they're with the Tinkers will be absolutely massacred. So he's starting to feel guilty. He's also irritated with Aram, who is like putting the Riz all over Egwene. He is trying his hardest, trying his best. And Egwene appears to be quite receptive of his advances. And Perrin doesn't like it. And here's one other thing, side tangent for a moment. Anybody who thinks that Perrin was in love with Egwene no. Just stop with that noise. That's not a thing. It was never a thing. It wasn't even a thing in the show. And when they did it in the show, we all went, huh? It was very much so Perrin and Egwene in the world alone together, knowing nobody else, strangers, and being the only familiar thing within 1,000 miles. Like, that's it. Now, would it have grown into that? Maybe if they had never met up with anybody else and lived the rest of their lives together on the run, maybe. Cool. But at the time the books take
like a Ron and Hermione versus like Harry and Hermione.
Yes.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Because there actually like was a moment, and the author, I won't mention the name because people freak out. Even said that like the whole scene in Deathly Hallows where Harry and Hermione dance could have been a moment where they get together, but it just didn't feel right. So he left it as was. So.
Which I
mean, either way, Harry clearly has a type because, I mean, other than Cho, he went for 2 gingers. So,
I mean, yeah, he went for Ron and then his sister. Like, that's kind of gross.
Like, he had the option of choosing, like, his best friend and then, like, his best friend's sister, and he went,
It's that meme where it's
really
like,
that serious?
My grandmother told me to marry my best friend. I keep trying, but he just calls me gay.
Oh, yeah.
I could see Ron. Harry, stop that. Ron, I'm in love with you. You're my best friend.
Wingardium Leviosa. Go on, Harry. You're the chosen one.
No, but I just want to quash that right now. Official stance of the BTP is that there is absolutely no such thing as Perrin loves Egwene. Does not exist. Period. End of story. Egwene clearly does not love Perrin. Stop. Get help. In the words of Michael Jordan, stop. Get help.
I mean, still would have made a better arc than him being afraid of weapons because he killed his wife that never existed.
Oh, God. Still a better love story.
Yeah, still a better love story than Perrin and fucking what was her name? Isla?
Yeah. Wait, Layla.
Layla.
Yeah.
It's still a better love story than introducing a brand new character just to fridge him.
Just a fridger.
Yeah. Like, hey, would you like a part in like one episode of this fancy new TV show? Cool. What am I going to do? Well, you're going to create mysterious love, angst, and ire, and then you're going to be fridged.
That makes no sense.
So that we can make the burly blacksmith dude afraid of weapons.
Just axes. He can use a sword just fine.
He didn't fucking touch another weapon since.
No, he did. He carried a sword when he was riding with the Shinarans, following Padan Fain in season 2.
I mean, he carried it, but he never used it. Like the thing
he carried
was, like, he was
a knife
to use anything. Like he carried things,
and he carried a knife that he never ever did anything else with ever.
But he never used it. Well, I mean, just like Tam's sword that Rand has. They have a habit of carrying sharp shit they do fuck all with. Then you wind up at the end of season 1 staring at some dude stabbing people with a mystical lightsaber dagger, and you're just like, oh, my friends are dying. I'll do nothing.
And
your wife's already
dead. See, the wine is here.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so back to the
do with Tinkers.
Back to the regularly scheduled program.
Fucking wetlanders.
Fucking wetlanders. That's right.
You think an IO would give a shit if they accidentally killed their wife in the middle of battle, other than having tow? They'd be like, "Oh shit, I've got tow."
Damn it, I've got tow. Let me go to my mother-in-law.
Actually, that would be a good question. What would happen?
Maybe we'll need to have some of the IEL ladies on and have them walk.
So you're in the middle of battle and you stab your husband in the nards. He was clumsy and got in the way.
Maybe you don't have tow.
I determined the future bloodline with him would be weak, so I erased that possibility. Looking immediately.
Look, I just came back from the columns, and and let's just say I need to prevent that from happening, so I stabbed my husband in the neck.
It's the most concrete form of birth control in the threefold land.
All the men, their best birth control.
Kill him. You can just castrate him, man.
I mean, you can do that.
Tell me a Maiden of the Sphere can't pinpoint cut one singular tube with a bow and arrow?
Hold still.
Those nards were obviously armed.
Not very nards. He doesn't have any nards.
Grab his
Wolfman's got nards.
This is not a Tinker-like conversation. What do you think Maiden's Kiss is? If you can still have children after a game of Maiden's Kiss, you won.
There it is.
Anyway,
so Perrin is with the Tinkers. Egwene is with the Tinkers, and Perrin starts talking to Elias and being like, Elias is with the Tinkers. The Tinkers are with the Tinkers. And Perrin is getting more and more antsy and wants to leave. He doesn't like Aram making advances on Egwene. He doesn't like knowing that each day could lead them closer and closer to a Tinker massacre by Trollocs that are following them.
Yeah, keep in mind, like in the books, like Perrin has no inherent aversion other than like what you would consider maybe normal personal aversion to violence. He hasn't had his "what have I done" moment yet in the book.
Yeah,
so, the way that I personally like it. I'm not going to say the way it should have been, but the way I like it.
Yeah, and what he doesn't
involve fridging a character.
Yeah, what he does have is, he's very thoughtful and methodical. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to make any rash decisions, right? So he's very methodical, and he likes to be able to take his time to think things through. And in this particular case, he is wanting to leave the Tinkers. He's just in his mind, it's every reason, everything points to we've got to get away from the Tinkers, right? We're bringing danger to them. I don't like Aram.
There's that, yeah. So he's anxious about how Aram is going with Egwene because no bro likes to watch his bro's girl be hit on by another dude.
Right.
Then yeah, he's like, okay, these Tinker people are really nice for bringing danger to them. He's also uncomfortable because he remembers them trying to leave Amon's field and fighting against the Trollocs and seeing it as a necessity. And he's like surrounded by a bunch of people that are just like, yeah, but you could kind of run away. And it's like, well, what if you can't run away? Well, you could just die. Like, everything returns to the earth to be regrown. It's fine. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not really the way I want to live my life. And he meets Elias, and this whole time, up until they get with the Tinkers, Elias is like pushing them to move and hide and get away from all this stuff. And now they're with this large group of people. And like blending into the crowd works when you're in a city like Assassin's Creed. I mean, it doesn't work in Assassin's Creed because you're still wearing the getup and it doesn't make any sense. But it's reasonable. When you're out in the middle of the wilderness and you go the same direction that people have been looking for you with, and you're just like with a bunch of people that just party and smoke all night, which nothing wrong with it. Have your fun. It's like, okay, there's nothing to tell anybody, don't look over here. It's like, no, that's exactly the place to look. We don't see them anywhere else. So I can look here. So, I mean, I'm kind of with, I get Perrin here. I mean, it seems like there are all the reasons in the world to leave this group: safety, stealth, security, getting away from Aram, which I'm always behind. That by itself is enough of a fucking reason.
That's enough right there.
Aram. Yeah. So like I get it, but everybody else is like, specifically Elias is like, it is not yet time. And he's like, how the fuck will we know when it's time? And he's like, you'll know. And then the time does come eventually, and Perrin doesn't fucking know. Elias just like freaking jackhammer shakes his ass awake in the middle of the night. He's like, it's time to go. We gotta fucking go.
It's time to go.
It's like
pack your shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Pulp Fiction when fucking dude runs back inside. Pack your shit. We gotta get the fuck out of here.
This interaction.
I fucking killed them all. I showed them. I killed them
all. This interaction though does spawn one of the best quotes in the book, and it's one that I love, and it's one that's not talked about enough, I think. But Perrin is asking Elias. He's like, "When are we gonna go? We need to leave." And Elias is like, "Hey, look, something is telling me to stay." And Perrin's like, "What?" And Elias is like, "Something." And and Perrin is like, "Motherfucker, what is telling you to stay? Tell me." And Elias finally kind of sits back and says, "Hey," and this is the quote. The quote is, and it's Elias talking to Perrin. He says, "Run when you have to, fight when you must, rest when you can." And I love that quote. It's so applicable to everybody. Run when you have to.
I can't run.
Fight when you must. Rest when you can. Because I think there's so many people who don't take time for one or the other. I think there's so many people who there's so many people who are so willing to just work themselves to death. They don't know how to rest. They don't know how to run away for a minute. It's just, there's a lot to that quote, and it's a very big quote, and I love it a lot. But eventually Elias tells Perrin, convinces him, "Hey, we're going to stop. We're not leaving. You can go if you want, but if you want a guide, you have to fucking wait. I don't know when it's going to be. Could be hours, could be days." Shortly following that, Perrin has his nightmare where Baalzamon finds him in his dreams and is like, "Oh, is this what you have protecting you?" And points to one of the wolves, ignites the wolf, and the whole scene is taking place inside Elsbeth Luhan's kitchen. And while he's sharpening his axe, Which, by the way, the dream sequences, 10 out of 10. Like always. I love the dream sequences. They're some of my favorite in the series.
Oh, yeah.
Perrin
Then
wakes
Balsamon
up
does
out of
his
this.
best Itachi.
Yes.
Because he brings out the crows and they start pecking at one of Perrin's eyes. I mean, I guess technically Itachi does his best Balsamon, but Itachi does do it better. I mean, come on. So
Balsamon invented the jujitsu, and Itachi perfected it.
Balsamon invented genjutsu. You're welcome,
Genjutsu.
Itachi. Actually, that's what happens when he doesn't actually just do some weird absorb the arrow thing in the TV show. It's just Kakashi's.
It's
Kamui.
genjutsu. Yeah,
it's Kamui.
Kamui.
It's a Mangekyo Sharingan ability where he can just
Oh,
absorb
yeah,
things into another dimension. Yeah.
So it's either it's
Bro, that would be one heck of a fucking nerdy episode.
Obito.
Turning
one that has
everything, turning everything from Wheel of Time into Naruto jutsu
I love it.
and technique.
We could do that.
It'd be super
And yes, he who comes with the wine. That wolf is forever dead. It has died the second death. It was part of what was helping to protect Perrin and keep him hidden, which is why Balsamon's like, so this is what you're protecting you. I've come across I fought this before, or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, even though I just read it like yesterday. But the point is, they wake up. Elias is like shaking Perrin awake, and he's like, dude, we gotta go. And he's like, now it's time to go. Now it's time to go. And Perrin's like, oh shit. And here's the part that gets me. Like, I'm willing to be like okay with it, because you've got a wolf in the dream that gets murdered, like schmurdered, like the final death. And then you've got Rayan, the Tinker Seeker. They wake up, they start packing their shit. Rayan comes out of his wagon, of his caravan wagon, and he kind of does the, looks up at the sky, sniffs, points his finger in the air, does the little, I don't know what seeker stuff he does, but as the leader of this troop of tinkers, he does his little tinker seeker thing and goes, I think we shall change directions this day, my friend.
So look this up so that I could read this out. The description of the sky, because my thing is like, what did the sky look like? So he comes out, rubs sleep, looks at the sky. Let's see, and he froze halfway down the steps, his hands still raised to his face. Only his eyes moved as he studied the sky intently, though Perrin could not understand what he was looking at. A few clouds hung in the east, underside streaked with pink from the sun yet to rise, but there was nothing else to see. Rain seemed to listen as well and smell the air, but there was no sound except the wind in the trees, and no smell but the faint, smoky remnant of last night's campfires. The only thing I can think of is by seeing the light pink or whatever on the underside of the clouds coming for dawn, is some semblance of the adage for sailors, the red skies in morning, sailors take warning kind of thing. Is that he looks up and sees how the clouds are now rimmed with this pinkish red, and goes, oh, there's a chance there could be bloodshed. That's a sign we should change. Like, seeing it just like an omen that a Sean Chan would see is like, oh, that means we should do something slightly different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the full saying
red sky at night,
red
sailors
sky
fly,
in morning,
red sky in morning, sailors take warning.
Sailors warning.
Need warning.
Yeah.
So that's my best guess. I don't really get.
I'm gonna highlight the Navy person making the quote, because they probably did it better than we did.
The first part, like the red skies in the morning thing, is like weirdly said several different ways that all say the same thing. But the last part of red sky at night, sailor's delight, is always the same. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. You know,
that's my best guess is that he wakes up and he's like, oh shit, there's red on the clouds. Red looks like blood. Let's just fucking change what we're doing right now. Like, it seems more like it's omen and superstition than anything else to me.
But okay, so here's and this is kind of what I really wanted to get to with this particular topic is that is this just like the you know, red sky at morn, sailors be warned, red sky at night, sailor delight? Or is there something there? Because he didn't just step out of his caravan and on a whim or on a superstition have the exact same feeling that Elias and Perrin did. Also, if that was the case, why was he so spooked? Right? Why was he so spooked? Because he didn't say, yeah, we're not going to go south anymore, buddy. I think we're going to go north. I think we're going to go west. What he said was very specific. He said, I think we're going to go east to the spine of the world. Maybe find a steading. Like, he knew in his bones that some shit was going down. He knew. It freaked him out. Whatever omen, whatever sixth sense he had, it freaked him out to the point where he was like, we're going to get as far away from here as possible, even going into a steading maybe, to just get away from this, because he was that shook. He was shooketh.
So let me posit a question to you then. If a Shan-Chan sees a bad omen and vehemently goes, they're immediately shook by the omen. They're like,
yeah,
we got to go. We got to change this thing. We got to go this way. We got to do that. And they're doing it because of the omen. Right. Would you say the same thing? That they know something is going on? Because my thing is, like, he didn't have the same feeling or reaction as Perrin or Elias. Perrin had his dream with Baalzamon, which happened because Baalzamon is targeting the three from Amon's field and their Tavir nature. Elias is aware of it because Perrin shares a link with the wolves through the Wolf Brother thing. Elias picks up on it, and the rest of the pack picks up on it.
And there was a wolf in the dream, and it even says that the wolves are howling and they're angry and they're sending images of burning and pain and death and fire.
Well, yeah. So there's that connection there, which I think the howling of the wolves does lean into why Rain is like, yeah, shit's fucky this morning. So you combine like howling wolves, two of the one stranger and Elias there are kind of like being a little frantic or a little rushed about things. And you see what you feel is an omen in the sky about clouds rimmed in red. And collectively, you bring all that together and go like, shit's fucky, let's go. Because we don't know how distinctly of an omen red-rimmed clouds are to the Tinkers. Just like we don't know exactly how severe the certain omens are for the Shan-Chan.
True.
And I've had grandparents and aunts and uncles that will see something happen off of a superstition and freak the fuck out until you do whatever you should to fix it. Like if you spill salt and you don't throw it over your shoulder,
take it over your shoulder. Yep.
You whistle outside at dusk, freak the fuck out. Like shit like that happens and everybody's like, I know what this means. And I'm not saying like it is or isn't right, but my thing is like, I don't think that Rain has any idea what Perrin and Elias and the wolves are feeling.
Oh yeah.
I think he just knows that it's really weird because generally I'm no wolf expert. I'm no wolfologist. But I don't think wolves are known to howl in the morning like a rooster. So if you hear like a bunch of wolves howling at morning with red rim clouds, I'm not gonna lie. I have my superstitions. I'm pretty sure I'd be like, oh fuck yeah, no, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. No, I like what you say.
I don't think it's like uniquely like a talent or anything like that. I think it's like gut feeling, which we all have for a reason. You sometimes just trust your gut.
So you think Rayan has? It's sort of a combination, right? It's like one thing happens, you can say it was a mistake. Two things happen, you can say it was a coincidence. Three things happen, four things happen. Okay, no, get the fuck up out of there right now. Like there, you know what I mean? Is that what you're kind of trying to?
For the most part, I mean, I think it's mostly a combination of seeing that the sky has a red hue amongst the clouds and hearing a bunch of wolves just fucking popping off at dawn. Like,
Well, according to a Google search from our wine bearer, wolves howling in the morning is pretty normal.
Oh, well, I learned something new about wolves.
It doesn't account for how intently they were howling. I mean, I have to think there's a difference between, oh, it's morning. Too bad Wolf Brother's not here to like educate us on the ways of his people. Or, you know, I don't know. I like where you're going with that though, because I am intrigued with in our lives. There's that dude that always comes on who's like, our ancestors knew how to preserve foods, and you should like, you're correct. It is very much
a woo versus woo.
Woo. No, but the guy comes on and he's like, don't forget the lessons that our forefathers learned that kept them alive and not starving to death during the Great Depression. And it's really like a YouTube channel about this dude who teaches people how to like about food preservation and things like that. But there's other things too. There's you know, the old Wild West stories of, you know, keep your ear to the ground. Why do we have the saying keep your ear to the ground? Because supposedly back in the day there were people who could put their ear on the ground and listen to see if people were approaching. There are all these skills that we have honed as a human species that we just don't have anymore because we don't need to. But how many people do you know can fucking text type on their phones like 200 words per minute? Like,
yeah.
And even that's going to be a lost skill because now you've got talk to text. You don't have to type anymore. You can just hit the microphone and say, yes, Andrew, you look wonderful in that blue lace lingerie. And it doesn't even matter because you don't have to talk. You can just say it. You can just say it and your phone will translate it for you. There's a movie out there. And one of the things the guy complains about in the movie is that, you know, 1,000 years from now or 100 years from now, when they start looking back at our, you know, at this point in time in humanity, there's not any pictures. We don't print pictures anymore. We take a picture on our phone and we save it on a cloud and that's it. We don't get film produced anymore. So as a result, companies don't make film anymore. How much longer is it going to be before making film is a lost technology? And photography in general will be a lost technology at that point in time. And that's something, we could see within our lifetime. You know, so what if what Rayan is doing here, whatever that instinct is, there is actual, you know, tracking, Bushman instinct, you know, something to it that doesn't necessarily have to do with a talent, right? It's not necessarily like talking to the wolves or listening to the wind, as Nynaeve puts it, which just turns out to be channeling. What if it really is just those sharp human instincts versus some sort of talent in the pattern?
Yeah, no, that's fair. So some of the superstitions around wolves and howling Or hearing a wolf howl signifies bad luck or impending danger. Some believe that if a person hears a wolf howl 3 times, someone close to them will die. In some Native American cultures, hearing a wolf howl is seen as a sign of impending change or transformation and may even be considered a sign from a spiritual guide. In some European folklore, seeing a wolf could also be a bad omen, such as if a woman saw a wolf before giving birth, her child would be born with a wolf's tail. In other regions, seeing a wolf was thought to mean that someone in the area would die soon. However, those are just superstitions with no scientific bias. And we're probably also talking about a time frame where people were staying up late at night trying to guard their sheep and getting attacked by wolves. And it just very quickly became the boy who cried wolf, but it's actual danger. So, because a lot of stuff is like, hey, no, there's just legit danger in this shit. And it becomes a superstition like, oh, if you see a wolf 15 and a half minutes before nightfall, you're probably going to die. And it's like, yeah, because if you're still fucking sitting there after you saw the wolf, there's a good chance it's going to fucking take your throat out. Like,
it went back to the pack and was like, hey, there's some dumbass just sitting there.
Yeah. Look at this fucking guy.
I mean, and you got to look at it too and say those instincts have to come from somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah. Which is
those are lessons learned, not knowledge passed down from seeker to seeker. Lessons, things. Very, very similar to Nynaeve and Egwene. This plant is good for this. How did we learn that? You don't want to know.
Well, fucking Bobby over there just took it and fucking ate it because he was hungry, and he didn't stop convulsing for 3 hours. But when he did stop, the fucking erection he had didn't go away for 4 days.
But I mean, that's mushrooms. How did they know? How did ancient humanity know what mushrooms did what? We didn't. Some dude was like, "Hey, Bubba Joe, go eat that mushroom," and he ate it, and he went, "Tastes like shit," and fell over dead. And they went, "Cool, those ones are deadly."
I bet you a 6-pack you won't eat that mushroom over there, Billy. Well, it's like how they train you to test to see if a plant or something is potentially toxic in like seer training. There's a really good excerpt for this. If you ever watch a retired, I think he retired as a major, but Scott O'Grady's autobiography from where he got shot down and forced in the no-fly zone over Bosnia. He's testing a leaf to see if he can eat it, and he takes it and he rubs it against his lips and then waits for like 15 minutes to see if there's a reaction. When there's not, he takes a little piece, chews it up, spits it out, and then waits like several minutes to see if there's a reaction. Then does the same thing but swallows it. And he like very slowly gives himself a chance to figure out if it's lethal or not. It's a really good book. I'm not gonna lie, it's a really easy read. I read it in like AAP class or advanced academics in like 3rd or 4th grade. But it's still a good read. Called Basher 52, which was his call sign when he was shot down by Serbian Sam that was not supposed to be operational. It's also the reason that the producer of the movie Behind Enemy Lines and Owen Wilson got sued because they replicated his story with no credit or permission. And it is
yes, it is.
Yeah, they got sued for that unauthorized reproduction of his story, and they tried to make it just different enough by making it a Hornet, a 2-seater Hornet, and 2 of them. There were 2 F-16s. These were F-16s out of the Triple Nickel Squadron in Aviano, Italy. They're also like all the shit about like getting pictures of mass graves or something like that was beyond sensationalized. That shit wasn't actual. I mean, that stuff actually happened in the area, but Scott O'Grady wasn't like taking pictures. They didn't deviate from their flight path to take pictures of mass graves or whatever. Just the Serbs got tired of NATO flying over their skies and like fucking pot shot. And unfortunately, he didn't dodge that missile.
No, you can't dodge them all. So, okay, so are we happy in saying that Rain has it's communal knowledge. It's communal.
I think he's got some good instincts. I think it's part like what we now kind of call colloquially as like wives' tales, old wives' tales, mixed with seasoned experience of being out in the wilderness. So like if he knows that it's not normal to hear that many wolves howling in this area, and you mix that with him seeing a potentially superstitious sign in the sky, then I think it's fair for him to be like,
Do you think that with the wolves it's still fair though, because he knows that Elias has a connection with the wolves?
I think it holds even more weight that the wolves are kind of acting out more than they usually would with Elias there, and then like he sees Elias kind of rushing and getting Perrin awake. I think that kind of helps him like go like, okay, it's more than just a little tingle in my balls. There's something going on here. I can feel it.
Isla's happening again.
I can feel a tingle in the scrot.
Get the herbs.
Get the ointment.
Get the herbs and the poultices. Oh shit.
Hey babe, just need you to rub a poultice on my testiculars.
On my way of the leaf. What? That doesn't make sense, Josh. Well, do we meet any other seekers? I think that's the only seeker we meet. Right?
Yeah. Do we even meet any other bands of Tinkers?
We do. We meet one other. Well,
aren't they just like absorbed in with Rain's or something? Because it's Rain's group that they meet back at Amon's Field, or in the Two Rivers again.
Yeah. That is the only band of Tuathon we see, isn't it? I wanted to say that we saw Tuathon in the Isle Waste, but we don't. That's a caravan. And
we see Rain again, 8 Monda Field.
8 Monda Field, yes.
Yes. 8 Monda Field.
8 Monda Field, yes. He who comes with the wine is having a tainty moment.
Amen. He came with the wine. He didn't say he didn't partake of the wine.
He definitely did.
Hey, there's plenty of things to bless out here. There's trees. There's bushes. There's animals. Let's get for snicking.
There's squirrels.
Let's get for snicking.
Let's get for snicking. Yeah, no. Leia is correct. There is another band of them outside of Ibadar, but we don't actually interact with them. Rand, when he tells the story of the Aiel Far Daraismai who approaches the Tuathon, to tell the Sightblinder wishes to kill the serpent, which was a great scene. I love that one too. When Rain is asking Elias if he knows anything about it. Perrin is just there. He's just a bystander listening. And God, the power of Taviran compels you, because what are the chances? Like, it's the only way that Taviran Pull is the only logical explanation for why Perrin just happened to be with a band of Tinkers that just happened to know this story, that just happened to know Elias personally and know him as a well-traveled person who might know something about the story, and just happened to be present when they told the story.
Yeah.
Craziness. And yes, yeah, that's a good point too. So we see Rand and Isla, this exact same Tinker band, they're at the Fields of Marilor at the end. And Rand is like, oh no, I have to do something. I can't just sit here. And Isla's like, don't you dare. Isla just had to watch her grandson pick up a weapon. She is horrified. And when Rand is like, oh, maybe, maybe just this once, she's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, there's even conversation to be had there, right? Because what instincts was Rand listening to that said, hey, pick up this weapon? or was it instinctual? Was everything around him saying violence, 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 you're going to die? And he was going, I don't want to die. I don't want everyone I love to die. What do I need to do? Or was it a moment of weakness? Was he reading the signs and going, we're all dead unless we do something? It's not fair for other people to do this for us. We should do something to help defend ourselves.
In that moment, he remarks about going to pick up a weapon, or thinks about it, because he's like, well, the Trollocs, they wouldn't care for the way of the leaf. Like, he basically views them as like, it's not a possibility for the Trollocs to come over to the way of the leaf. So it almost seems like he kind of thinks for a moment, like, well, if it's not even possible for them to come over to the way of the leaf, does it count if I fight them?
Which I think is one of the reasons why Perrin has such a hard time with him in the beginning, because he had, up until this point, right, he knows that people are decent and you can appeal to people's humanity. And yeah, there are bad apples out there. But for the most part, I mean, if you can't handle them, the women's council can, or the men's council, or the village council can, or, whatever the case may be, someone can take care of it. It's not that big of a deal. Then they meet the Trollocs and his entire worldview changes. He meets a demographic of beings whose mandate is, I don't care about you. I don't care where you come from. I don't care any context about you. I'm going to kill you and I'm going to eat you. And when Perrin is faced with this exact same sort of conundrum of, no, there's groups out there that just don't care. They will just kill you. They will just eat you. They just don't care. And there's no reasoning with them. There's no logic with them. And I feel like a lot of the Tinkers live in this sort of safety bubble where they've not dealt with Trollocs. They've not been presented with senseless violence of that intensity or scale. And so it's easier for them in some ways because it's never been tested to that degree. Because again, even bandits come into town and they can say, look, come in and sit by our fires and we will give you food. And most bandits, at least as portrayed in the Wheel of Time, just need some food or a place to live or a couple coins. Like it's not, they aren't the senseless evil people just enjoys killing. When you have Trollocs that just enjoy killing for the sake of killing, that adds a degree of intensity or a degree of testing to your dedication to the way of the leaf. And it's on one hand, it's impressive that the Tinkers would remain true to the way of the leaf, knowing that such an ignorant, blind evil exists. And on the other hand, it's like, okay, but following the way of the leaf is literally just going to get you massacred. Why wouldn't you do something to stop that from happening? If all the leaves fall, the tree dies. So I think that's an interesting, I almost wonder if the Tinkers would have that. Well, yeah, but I almost wonder if the Tinker, who we should have had on this episode was the puppets. I almost wonder if it's something that the Tinkers would have, similar to the Aiel when Rand reveals that they used to be Gen Aiel and pacifists. I wonder if the Tinkers would have a similar sort of breaking if they were all made aware that senseless violence exists.
If they were all made aware that they were the original Aiel, or their livelihood,
that would strengthen their claims.
The tradition. Yeah.
I think that would strengthen their claims. If they knew that they were Gen Aiel and understood what Gen Aiel were, I think that would strengthen their claims. Because
I mean,
even
'cause
in Rand's visions,
they
the
know-
Jedi
well, they
Yield were
think
the
all
ultimate
violence is
pacifists.
senseless.
I mean,
Yeah. So like they know it
weird,
exists. I
but
mean,
yeah.
that's like the hallmark. One of the hallmarks of the way of the leaf is like violence is senseless. Like there's no room in
right,
in polite society for violence.
right.
There's no
But when you don't
justification.
live in polite society, when you don't deal with beings who care about polite society, that's different.
Well, I mean, it's like most belief systems. They sit there and they're like, okay, well, we've got it figured out. Everybody else is wrong, and they should see us
Exactly.
as the example to follow.
That's like when people say, you know, when they start
But
talking about belief in God, and you say, okay, which God? And they're like, the real one. Duh. There are people who believe in other gods, like vehemently so, passionately so. And it's like to take this stance of, well, I'm on the right, and I automatically dismiss everything else because nah, 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 nah. You know, you've got a situation there where when your beliefs are adopted in that way and they are tested not by other humans who can be reasoned with, but in a way that cannot be reasoned with, that cannot be logicked, that cannot be bargained with, I feel like that's a bit more of a test.
well, yeah, I feel like that's the way that faith should work.
Should.
Just like everybody wanting the whole like the thing about oh, I want my knight in shining armor. It's like, well, no, you
Yeah.
don't, because a knight in shining armor's never truly had his metal tested.
Yeah.
Like, no, again, you want the knight with the fucking dinged up, scratched up fucking armor that looks like he just ran through a crowd of fucking goblins and barbarians. Like, and it still comes out with his knightly thing. I think that's the way faith should be. If you have a faith or you don't have a faith, like, and it's tested by being questioned or having people ask questions of you, one, you simply don't have to entertain it. You can simply just say, look, I don't want to do it, and whatever. But I think if it's a faith that you feel strongly about, then you should be able to have that faith stand up to the questions. You may not answer it to the satisfaction of the people asking the question, because some people will just ask questions hell bent on making you forsake whatever you believe in, and no answer will ever be good enough.
Oh,
And
sure.
that's fine. That's their problem, not yours. But I don't think anybody should ever be afraid of having to answer questions about their own faith, because
Absolutely.
if you truly believe what you believe is not just right, but the right thing, then any questions about your faith should lead to you having a better and deeper understanding of your faith, and help solidify your belief in that faith. And if
I
it does
love
the opposite, then either you're finding things that you're not comfortable with your faith, or you don't hold as strongly to your faith as you thought you did. And you can go from there, whatever. I'm not saying it means like, everybody should be challenged on what they believe. I believe people have the right to say, like, look, I don't really want to get into this. And that doesn't
yeah.
mean that they're like a coward or giving up. It means they don't want to get into it, probably because a lot of people try to do that and they get browbeaten into not even being able
Yeah.
to answer the fucking
Just
question.
yeah, discourse
So,
and debate are two things that are truly dying nowadays.
but
But I will say this, I do like that you bring that up because there is a scene where Elias and Perrin are talking to Rain, and they're basically just being like, yeah, that's stupid because what if? Yeah, that's stupid because what if? And Rain, I love the verbiage in the books that talks about how Rain has so much patience, as if he's had this conversation 100 times before, and
because he probably has.
people just don't understand.
I mean, and he's not necessarily wrong in what he says, because it's essentially like, okay, you fight back against someone that fights against you, and you kill them.
Mm-hmm.
What do their friends do? They hunt you down and try to kill you. Well,
Yeah.
you kill them. What do their friends do? They try to
Exactly.
hunt you down and kill you. Okay, well then now they do kill you. What do your friends do? They hunt them down and try to kill them. He's like, it's a never-ending cycle of violence. This is very much a Naruto thing too. This is like what ultimately becomes Naruto's core fight and philosophy is trying to end the cycle of hatred within the Shinobi universe, because this nation wrongs this nation and they all want to fight each other and kill each other and all this other stuff, and that becomes the whole fight. Like, oh, can we all be friends? Ultimately the answer was fucking no, because they decided to continue with Bard, so they could have left it off with a beautiful ending, but no, they had to fucking change a letter and give him a kid with his own fucking bullshit story.
It was so bad. And we watched the first like 12 episodes.
Fucking bastards just had to start a new one just to kill Kurama, just to nerf Naruto. Like Sasuke lost the fucking eye. Whoop-de-doo. They killed fucking Kurama just to fucking nerf Naruto.
Yeah.
To the creators of Boruto, I fucking hope you have diarrhea at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Like explosive diarrhea. Like you can't trust a fart all week.
Well,
because it might be diarrhea day.
But this is a concept that exists in our world currently as well. I mean, you have Gandhi that taught, negativity begets negativity, hate begets hate. And if you're going to go out there and start hating on someone, it's not going to do anyone any good. Period. End of story. If you decide to attack a problem with hate, or if you decide to attack a problem with negativity or with bias, all you're going to do is create more bias, more negativity, more hate. That's it. That's all you're going to accomplish, because you reap what you sow. And it's an interesting thing. And I love that the Tinkers are a part of the story. I will admit, I don't subscribe to the pacifist, sort of the ultimate pacifist, extreme pacifist way of life. I am not a Christian. I don't subscribe to the turn the other cheek type mentality. But I do understand the concept that even in the most extreme situations, handling a situation with care, with positivity, and with love for the person that you're in this interaction with is a very real thing. I think that's really, it's one of those contradictions of human existence, right? How can you say that you love someone when you're yelling at them? Well, because they're about to do something that's going to hurt them, and you love them, so you give them the hard truth. You give them the tough love because you want them to not make this mistake and get hurt. It's contradiction of human existence, and the Tinkers, I think, are really well illustrated. Specifically, Rayan as the leader of this group, as the seeker, as the Mahdi. He's got to be sort of the paragon of the Way of the Leaf, right? He's got to be the ultimate example of how the Way of the Leaf works if they want to keep their way of life valid, legitimate.
Yeah. Now that being said, do be careful if you're in Ireland and you use the word tinker. It is an active, present day, extremely offensive ethnic slur against the Irish travelers. So be careful in it. Also, how many people are just now realizing that every time they said tinker about the Wheel of Time, that you're actually saying a real world ethnic slur? If you didn't realize that before, 1, welcome to the club. 2, fucking sucks to suck for all of us, I guess. I mean,
that makes me want to see.
Even they, like in the books, they're like, "Oh, you're the Tinkers," and they're like, "We really don't like that word. We're the traveling people."
It's true.
So
well, but that's even a great example of casual bias that people have that they don't know that they have, and translates beautifully into our reality as well. How many times do we say or do something that we have absolutely... How many times have I said or done something in recording that I had no idea was problematic? And I'm outing myself in public right now. It's not because I cared. It's not because I was like wanting to make a negative comment about someone, but it was me going, saying something and you being like, hey, maybe we don't put that in the show. I'm like, why? Is that bad? And you're like, yeah, it is. Oh, my bad.
I mean what I say. Life is hard. Get a fucking helmet.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure I just piss like all.
Okay, but sometimes that's valid, and sometimes there's room for empathy.
Yeah, no, I'm not one to suffer the easily offended. I mean,
yeah,
within reason.
Well,
within reason.
I was having a conversation the other day with someone about something, and I was like, there's two kinds of people that'll take issue with this. One, the kind of people who will say, hey, that's not really cool. And you say, no, this is my understanding of it. This is my backing for it. And this is why I did it. And they'll go, oh shit. Yeah, you're right. That's cool. And then there's the kind of people that will take issue with it. And you say, no, this is my understanding of it. This is, how I take, this is my backing for this. And this is why I have legitimacy for this. And they will still take issue with it because you didn't meet their specific requirement. And guess what? Fuck those people. I don't care. That second group, they can go to hell.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, if you want to play the game, we can very much tit for tat the who's offended by what for what reason.
Sure.
So, because I definitely have enough red in my beard to pull the offended card when somebody goes, "Hey, you want to go to Mickey D's?" Like, you want to go to fucking what?
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway,
let's talk through that.
yeah, let's not, because this isn't therapy, and I don't need.
This is not therapy. This is the traveling people, the Tuathon. In final, I guess, in final sort of wording here, you've got a people who have some. We're going to tie this all up in a nice neat bow right here. You've got a people who have a very besieged way of life and philosophy, led by a person with extremely good instincts. And I feel like the challenge that they face on the daily strengthens their beliefs. And some people can do it and some people can't, which is what they say. They say some people find it hard to live the way of the leaf. And Aram is one of those people who, from the beginning, Isla is like worried about him. She is worried actively about him from the beginning. And I like this demographic of people led by someone like Rand. I have to believe that the other seekers in the other caravans are equally as learned with the traditions and lessons of survival, and also have as good instincts, because I feel like if you don't have good instincts in a position like that, you lead people to death, right? Bad leadership in a situation like that kills people. Just plain and simple. And so for Rand to come out, immediately recognize that they need to change directions, and it even says he invites Elias and Perrin and Egwene to come with them, and Elias is like, nope, we need to go a different way. And Rhaen even knows that he's going to say no, but he still invites him anyway out of like polite company, and because they do try to be polite, which I admire. But I love that it's such a small piece of the story, but it illustrates such a big part of life for the traveling people, for the Tuathon. And I just, again, it's just another testament to how big this world is, how much we love these books, because there's no end to the depth. It is much like our own real world, and I love it.
Yeah, no. I don't know that I have as much to say. I don't understand the lifestyle of the Tinkers. I don't get it. I could never comprehend it. The ideology behind it. Like I get what they're saying and why they're saying it. I could never live my life that way. Um,
Same.
I can't do it. I just I physically, mentally, emotionally can't do it. Um, much like the way that kind of Elias is like he respects that they're so devoted, and I respect people that are that strictly devoted and loyal to their faith and ideology. I think that is a fantastic thing. Rather than it being fleeting, which is part of the reason why I don't like Aram because he fucking flutters around wherever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. I don't see the value in it. I don't see the purpose in it. I don't see the ultimate end goal for it. And I see it as an ideology that will result in their own unfortunate, but their own extermination. Um, eventually, because the world is cruel and does not pity the soft. As noble their ideology is, and I think it
Right.
is a great thing to strive for, but I think there's a goal to strive for, and then there's a reality of how far you can reach and everything. That's what makes Superman so it's such an incredible hero. He is a goal to strive for, while also knowing that it is inherently out of reach of humanity to reach the levels of Superman. Which is why Goku is such a more relatable character because he trains and fights for it, but he's still an alien. You can't
He's
reach
still an
that,
alien.
but maybe go for Krillin or
Yep.
Tien. I don't know, but um, that's just
I
me.
like Krillin.
I like him in Dragon Ball. Kind of annoying in Dragon Ball Z. Just
I
there
love the
because he's
Krillin kill
Goku's
counter.
childhood friend.
Yeah.
Team Four Star, I love.
Anyway.
But
Yeah.
anyway, that's really all I have to say. I mean, I do enjoy reading the Tinker chapters. I think Rain is pretty cool. I think he has good intuition. I don't think there's anything uniquely special about him reading the sky signs, anything that's more special than 2-1 going, I saw an owl at 3.5 minutes past noon on the 43rd day of the year after the sun set right over the crest of my butthole. Like,
he put his hat on the table and I saw a spider.
Yeah. Like a fucking what Pirates of the Caribbean, the black spot.
Yeah. Turn 3 times. Dude, but old sailor superstitions are fun.
Oh yeah. I wonder
they're
who
the
was
ones
the
that
first
have-
person that just randomly did that shit and like survived, and they're like, "Oh, that's the trick. Turn 3
That's
times."
what you got to do every time.
Yeah.
That's guys. I know how to survive this.
Some dude's got like a grease stain on his fucking palm, and oh no!
Okay, but it happened. It happened somewhere, some way, somehow. Someone was like, "I only survived because I had a little bit of grease in my hand that I managed to scrape up." I don't know, man.
I only survived because my great aged grandmother told me that if I ever saw something weird on somebody's hand, spin thrice, dust my shoulders, and spit the sickness out. Like, what are you gonna do? Make the virus dizzy and 3 spins and it gets?
Or how about this? What do you do when someone sneezes? Bless you.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, unless you're
It's
an asshole.
just a superstition.
It is. But it's also like a kindness thing. And if you don't like the bless you part because it has a religious connotation, say Gesundheit. It literally is German for I wish you good health.
But it's
Like,
a superstition.
Don't be the dick that stares at somebody that just sneezed and be like, fucking be kind.
Oh, that's me. I don't care if you sneeze.
You only have to do it for the first one. If they sneeze multiple times, fuck them. They got their one generosity. The rest is they're just being greedy.
There's your one generosity.
You get one. It's like Spider-Man. Everybody gets one. Thank you, everybody. This has been another episode of the Black Tower Podcast. Offends all of the superstitions
trying
and
to
the
cancel
Irish
ourselves.
Travelers, apparently. So we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Sorry, Irish Travelers. We do love you.
Comment down below on what cool superstitions you think have parallels to the Wheel of Time that we didn't talk about, which is definitely plenty. Or let us know what we got wrong, what we got right. Do something. Just say hi in the comments. You guys managed to not spend 23 minutes talking about beer this episode. Good job, frat boys. But for all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, thank you again for tuning in. We love you. We look forward to seeing you every week. And I have been Andrew, your Bajan Mahel.
And I have been your Sorvan Mahel, Josh. And I want to just thank you as well and say that wherever you are, we thank you for tuning in for this week's Dose of Taint. And we hope that you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here.
It's good luck. Listening to Black Tower Podcast is good luck.